did BYU fall here? Texas up 3 spots to 13. Are you kidding me? Texas has jumped Utah. Wow. Are you surprised by that, Jake? I'm a little surprised by that. Boy, the bias for Texas.
Well, they beat the number 3 team in the country. A&M's going to fall.
Wow.
Oregon should be a top 5 team because A&M's going to fall out of top 5 with that loss.
How is Utah down 2 spots and they won? Miami is 12th.
So they stayed level.
Stays at 12. They do not fall. Oh my goodness. I thought for sure that they would fall. Oh my goodness. So they're going to be behind Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
They're still. So is Notre Dame?
Everybody from Bama forward.
Is Notre Dame 11th? Is Notre Dame 11th?
No, you're not moving Notre Dame down. No.
BYU is 11th. They stay level at 11.
Yeah, Bama's going to be 10. Bama will be 10.
You think Bama's 10th?
Yes.
Oh, man. Is BYU in no matter what? That tells me they're not. I think if they lose the conference championship game, BYU is out.
Yep.
With an FPI of 15, strength of schedule 35, strength of record 6th.
Doesn't matter. Wow. You can't get beat by Texas Tech that bad.
Wow. What if they beat Texas Tech? What if it's a field goal loss?
They're still out.
Oh, this is brutal. Notre Dame 10th. Notre Dame falls a spot to 10. Oh, it's going to be tight. Notre Dame might well be out. Because you guys got to remember, you're going to build in a G5 here. Oh, so wait,
does that mean that Ole Miss is out? If Notre Dame fell and A&M has to fall,
going to be ahead. Ole Miss will be ahead. I don't think Ole Miss is out. Notre Dame down a spot to 10. Style points don't matter then. Oof. That's rough. Alabama up a spot. They only move up 1 spot. They move up 1 spot to 9.
I'm telling you, bro, dude, I am very concerned about Ole Miss here. Maybe I got this wrong, but Bama moving up tells me that A&M's about to be put on the board at 8 or 7. Oregon will be a top 5 team.
That you could be right. Ole Miss might
be out. Ole Miss very well might be out of the college football playoff.
If that's the case, this is such bullshit.
Dude, again, though, CFP principles. They did it to Florida State, and I can't say I don't disagree. You lost your head coach and your play caller, man. I can't say that I disagree.
Oklahoma 8. Wow.
So this is where A&M will be, in my opinion. A&M will be 7, in my opinion. I think A&M is 7.
You can't have. No, Ole Miss will be here. You can't take them out altogether. You can't have them. Well, this is. There's Ole Miss.
They are.
Up a spot 11-1. That's why I was. You can't have them out. You can't have them out. So they're in no matter what. And they deserve to be in. They deserve. Like, what do you don't think they should be there?
I mean, I just have trouble with the fact that you lost your head coach and your play caller, man. I think that people are just. I think that people are just skipping over that, dude. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Oregon 5.
Yeah, Oregon. Wait, so where's A&M? You tell me A&M's still a top 5 team?
Yeah.
Yes. So A&M's going to be 4 and Tech's going to be up?
Texas Tech is 4.
Wow, dude, this is trash. A&M is not a top 3 team still.
Georgia is 3, Indiana 2, and Ohio State's 1. There you go. Where's Texas Tech at? Or where is Texas A&M?
Where's A&M? Yeah, where's A&M?
Did I just? I must have just missed it. I must have just missed it. Wow.
A&M must be 7. We just missed it, I bet.
Texas A&M is 7th. Yes. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is pretty remarkable. This sucks for BYU. Oh my God. This sucks for BYU so bad because they're out.
They have to win the Big 12.
Oh.
That's the message that's being sent.
Yeah.
Gotta win the Big 12, bro.
The G5 will be 11th. Oh, they're out. I don't have any other issue. I mean, I look at, God, what if Duke wins the ACC championship? You can't put Duke in. You can't put Duke in.
Here's updated rankings.
I hate that Notre Dame is 10th and BYU's 11th. I think now BYU's out. BYU's out. They're done. They're done. BYU's done.
Unless they're a conference champion.
Terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. On a day where you're going to announce Kalani Sitake, BYU getting hosed, in my opinion. I just don't know.
I struggle with putting Tech at 4 and having A&M at 7. I struggle with that because A&M has played a tougher schedule.
No, they really haven't. I disagree. You think they've? I think
Texas A&M is a better team than Texas Tech. I just don't know how we argue that. Like they play in a better conference.
Texas Tech is. I think Texas Tech is a better team than Texas A&M. I'll die on that hill.
How can you say that? What proof is there?
I think that when I look at the problem is when I look at Texas A&M, and this again is what I continue to ask, and I will just continue to say, what are the Aggies? They're 11-1. Their wins are UTSA, Utah State, Notre Dame. So does Notre Dame suck or is Notre Dame good? Because if Notre Dame sucks, that's not a quality win.
I haven't said that Notre Dame sucks, obviously.
Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and they lost to Texas. They lost to the one bona fide team they played. Because you can't have it both ways. If Notre Dame doesn't belong in and Notre Dame's a scam, and then you can't give Texas A&M, you can't say that Texas A&M has this unbelievable resume, because I got news for you, they don't. They don't. And when I look at the FPI, I actually think Notre Dame's resume is pretty good. I think their FPI is 25. They're ranked 3rd in the country in FPI. They're done at 10-2. I mean, I think their playoff percentage, what's their playoff percentage, is like 83%. And Texas A&M's playoff percentage is 97.6. So what is it? Notre Dame sucks. Texas A&M is elite, because I'm telling you, Texas A&M's not elite. I'm telling you, Texas A&M lost to the one elite team they faced, and it was the Texas Longhorns. And if you don't have Texas in, if Miami belongs in and Notre Dame doesn't, how on earth does Texas A&M get in over Texas? How does that math? Because I can play this game all day. You're telling me that Texas at 13 should be ranked below Texas A&M?
Yeah, because we're not rewarding losing, even with a better schedule.
Well, I got news for you. You look at the resume on the Texas Longhorns, I think it's absolutely, they're not getting in. Texas is not getting into the playoff. That's not happening. And they're a better team than Texas A&M. I'm not even sure that it's an argument. They are a better team.
Yeah, but how do we reconcile being a 3-loss team versus a 1-loss team? I mean, are we like, I understand they've played a difficult schedule, and I agree that they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I agree with what Sark said after the win, right? About Ohio State and all that. I completely agree with that. But then how do you, I guess again, it just comes back to the essence of this. Like, you believe Texas is better than A&M. Other
Yes.
people believe that A&M is better than Texas. Then you get into the schedule conversation. Like, I don't know how there's just not a great way to reconcile this. I mean, I have to say, in an ideal world, like, yeah, I mean, maybe expansion is what's necessary. I mean, I would love to see Texas and Texas A&M play. I would love to see,
I would like to see a rock solid qualification process that doesn't include humans making decisions.
well,
That's what I would like to see. And I think the real chaos to me, just texting with a football coach, this is a great point. The real chaos will take place when BYU beats Texas Tech, because what does that mean for the fate of several other programs that are behind or ahead of Notre Dame, of BYU, mainly Notre Dame? Because you look at this, how far does BYU jump if they beat Tech?
well, it would be significant.
Eighth?
I mean, yeah, eighth. Yeah, probably eighth. Yeah.
Because I have to think at that point, Notre Dame's out, because you're going to jump. Notre Dame can't improve themselves. Notre Dame can't improve themselves. So if BYU beats Texas Tech, I think Bama and Notre Dame are in real trouble. I think the biggest issue is teams like Texas. There's just no way. There's no way for you to help yourself. Like, Texas is done. That ship has sailed. I said 2 weeks ago, and I know everybody lost their mind. Texas is done. I think Notre Dame's done. I think Notre Dame's in real trouble. Real trouble here. I think the Miami Hurricanes are in real trouble. You're 10-2 and you're not playing for a conference championship. You're done. You're done, because it doesn't matter what happens in the Big Ten. They're both in. They're both in. In my opinion, you look at who on this graphic is without question in the college football playoff. The top 5, probably the top 7. Right? You look at Oklahoma, I have a hard time believing that you're going to take Oklahoma out, and Oklahoma cannot help itself.
Yeah, I would say the top 8 are locks. I think we're looking at everything 9 to 12.
And I think you got to remember that you only have one spot here that we're talking about. Because I think the Big 12 could get 2 spots. That takes Notre Dame out. Right? So that's 10. Who's 11 and 12?
I don't know. Who won the ACC?
A G5. What if Duke beats Virginia? Which I think is a real opportunity.
Agreed.
And I think at that point there would be a fight for Duke, because I think Duke actually would have some argument. They won't get in.
Yeah, the strength of schedule is not there.
Who do you put in then? Are you going to put in a JMU? Or are you going to put in a Duke? No. My guess is it would come down to Texas and Miami, and I think Miami would probably get in, because I still maintain you're not putting in a 3-loss team. So if you're a BYU fan, obviously you're rooting for BYU, and you are rooting, in my opinion, for Duke to beat Virginia.
Well, hold on. I think I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I think this concept of 3-loss team versus non-conference champion Miami, I don't think that's as cut in stone.
I think Miami's the emotional one. People are fighting for Miami. Ain't nobody fighting for Texas.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. I agree that people are going to fight for it, but you can't. There is no debate that Texas's resume is miles better than Miami's resume. And you want to talk about fighting for things.
But it's human beings.
Yeah, I know. This is my point. They're going to look at the SEC schedule and the resume, and they're going to say, okay, well, if Miami played that same resume, they're a 4 or 5-loss team based on the fact that they're a 2-loss team with their current schedule. That's what they're going to do. Like, I agree a 3-loss team shouldn't be in the CFP. But if Duke wins, they're not getting in the CFP. That's not happening. You're just not good enough. Sorry, dude. You're out. And
Yeah.
at that point, you're not putting Vandy in, you're not putting Utah in, you're not putting USC in. They're too far away. So it will come down to who's at 12. It will come down to Miami and Texas and the resume and the essence of this graphic right here. This graphic here will be the essence of the conversation. Strength of schedule is the number one principle for the CFP. See you later, Miami. Head-to-head competition. Number two principle for the CFP. That doesn't really favor Miami.
No, it does
right?
not.
Other relevant factors, such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. And you're telling me you don't care about this because Ole Miss got bumped up a spot even though Lane Kiffin left. So you don't care about the fact that their number one play caller on offense left. Okay,
But
fine. I'm
he
good with
didn't
that.
take his entire staff.
It doesn't matter. He's the one calling the plays. To me, that is a key issue. I don't want to hear ESPN in the broadcast giving excuses about Ole Miss losing a game because the play calling was bad. If that doesn't matter, that we can't have that both ways. Your number one play caller, your face of your program is gone, and yeah, the staff is there. But again, I think it's different when you're driving the car. So again, if that doesn't matter, and we're just going straight to schedule and head-to-head competition, there's no case for Miami. There is zero case for Miami to be in over a 3-loss Texas team. That's my problem. There's no, like, how can you can't. That's the problem, dude. So that's my concern, is if Duke handles business and does their thing and wins that game, we're looking at this graphic right here and we're like, yeah, I guess yeah, the SEC is going to get a 3-loss team in. Because what's the argument for Miami at that point?
Yeah.
Against Texas.
Yeah. I think there's no chance Texas gets in, because I don't think there's any sentiment that's like, hey, we got to get Texas in here, boys. I think.
But is that sentiment with Miami? That we have to get Miami into the CFP?
I think there's people in that room fighting for Miami. I do. I think that's the case. Like it is, it's going to be very interesting that this is so frustrating to me. We've got to get to a model where human beings get taken out of the fray. Like we cannot continue. BYU is going to get hosed here. That's what feels, because I just can't. I've looked at this matchup 10 ways to Sunday. That defense Texas Tech's defense didn't even deploy their full arsenal. Like they didn't have to, because they had their way up front. They out-physicaled. They didn't have to show scheme. They were prepared to meet BYU a second time down the road. I think you're going to see things we've never seen from Texas Tech's defense. And that scares me with Bear. Like it is. I think the only way that this ends well for BYU is if they outright win the game. You can't even lose by a field goal.
No. Win or go home. It's simple.
It's as simple as that. And
I don't want to hear BYU is getting hosed because they're 11-1. Your one loss speaks more than your 11 wins. You got dominated in that game. And it's everything from you weren't prepared to play in that environment to Bear Bachmeier looked like a nobody playing against that defense. Like, yeah, that's all that matters, man. So getting blown out by Tech is just that to me, nationally speaking, is what defines BYU right now. You lost to the best team on your schedule, and it wasn't close. So,
well, I don't think you can also say though that there is Sankey, ESC, SECPN are in that room right now fighting for Texas. They're not. Top 5 conference champions, whoever the champions are, not correct. I think when you look at it, it does not say that all 5 conference champions get in. It's not what it says. And I think it's important to note if Duke wins the ACC championship, I think Duke might be, or the ACC will be on the outside looking in. And I think that could be the argument to get Miami in over Texas. I just think that's what it is. I think it'd be very, very unlikely that the CFP is going to leave a P4 conference out. But we can keep expanding the playoff. That's not going to fix this because 17 and 18 are going to be pissed. Yeah, you do, Chad. You need to root for chaos. You need to root for chaos. You cannot put Miami in the playoffs. They are not a conference champion. You don't have to have I wish people understood that it is not. There is no point. It doesn't say the highest ranked P4 champions.
Here's what it says. The CFP selection committee ranks the top 25 at the end of the year. The 5 highest ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest ranked teams will be seeded into a 12-team bracket based on the final ranking, with the 4 highest ranked teams receiving a first-round bye. It doesn't say that all the conference champions get in.
P4 Oh, and Phil didn't say that. With all due respect, I got that wrong. I thought that's what you are correct. It is the 5 highest ranked conference champions, no matter who that is. Which is why I think there's a scenario, and I've been talking about this for 2 weeks. I understand it. And I understand why you moved Alabama ahead of Notre Dame. Alabama earned and I'm going to go ahead and die on this hill again. I just don't believe that Notre Dame should be in the college football playoff. You lost the only 2 games of consequence. We haven't earned it. We have not earned it. And I know that that's frustrating to people, but we have not earned it. And we can sit here and we can theorize back and forth, and Notre Dame hasn't earned it. I love the Irish. I'm passionate about the Irish. Notre Dame hasn't earned it. BYU has earned it. The BYU Cougars deserve a spot in the college football playoff.
Why?
They've earned it because you're a one-loss team going to play for a conference championship. So does then, and this is ultimately my question. What you're telling me is if BYU loses, they're going to be penalized for that loss to Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be penalized for losing the conference championship. That's what you're saying when we've said we're not going to penalize teams that lose the conference championship. Yet somehow BYU is going to be on the outside looking in.
Well, no, I think what they're being
penalized on the outside looking in.
They're being penalized for losing to the best opponent on their schedule, and they're being penalized for being in the Big 12 on some level, because I don't think people respect the Big 12. So, again, I just think that it's the conference championship game for BYU is win or go home because of how you lost to Tech, and people don't believe that you're actually a competitive 11-1. They believe that you're 11-1 off a softer Big 12 schedule and that you are not anywhere near Texas Tech.
Yeah,
that's what people believe.
I think, and this is one of the things I have said about Kalani Sitake that I think remains true in conversations like this. He's too nice.
Mm-hmm.
Knock somebody's teeth out on the curb. Right, 44-13. UCF 41-21. That could have been a 50-point game. Style points matter. Unless you're Notre Dame, who put up an absolute beating. But, I don't know. I have no qualms, you guys, leaving Notre Dame out. I just don't think we're one of the 12 best teams in the country with our record. You scored. I hope people understand that Notre Dame scored 120 points in the last 2 games. The problem is it's Syracuse and Stanford. Who cares? Who cares? Right? It doesn't matter that you dropped 37 and absolutely dismantled Pitt or Navy or Boston College or USC or NC State or Boise or Arkansas or Purdue because you lost to Texas A&M and Miami. Do I think Notre Dame's a better football team than Miami? I actually do. Were they in week 1? Clearly they were not. We were not ready to play. Marcus did not have that crew ready to go. We're not one of the most deserving teams in the country. Right? Like that to me, just it's as simple as it is. And I understand why people are upset about that. I do. But I can't get down with it. I just can't get down with it. So I want to, and I can't. So
yeah, I get it. It sucks. It's tough.
Yeah, press conference should be starting in Provo any moment, announcing the extension of Kalani Sitake, who we have told you is signing an extensive interesting. Who is signing a long-term extension with BYU today, and will be in Provo for the foreseeable future. So we will keep the details with you, and we will pass them along to you as soon as we can. So we will we'll keep you up to date on that. Very interesting. Very interesting to see how things are playing out. So we'll see. It's gonna be fascinating to me when we get past the conference championship games. Will Notre Dame get the benefit of the doubt? I think it's a huge
Clearly
question.
they are.
I think it is a huge question. And I just don't understand why this graphic. Okay, so behind the scenes, I don't know why stupid StreamYards keeps doing what they're doing. I'm trying to get this graphic to stay, and now it's going to stay. It's ridiculous. Texas got skull-effed by Georgia. Okay. Ohio State made the playoff a few years ago, and they didn't win the Big Ten that year. What does that got to do?
What does that got to do with anything, bro?
Last year, it was you lost to a losing record team. Now we lose game, albeit badly, to a top 4 team, and we're out. Notre Dame versus BYU, we beat them in almost every category, including having a 1 loss. Yeah.
Yeah, but
BYU deserves to be in.
Yeah, well, we don't get to run from the you deserve what you've earned, and they haven't earned public respect yet. And
I totally disagree with that.
Well, how could you disagree? You got your ass handed to you by Tech, the only team that anyone respects on your schedule.
Who's 4th in the country?
Now they're 4th in the country. Yes. But at that time, I mean, did anyone think that Texas Tech would be 4th in the country at this time of the year? Yeah. Like, I just think that it's...
And how do we put in SMU over BYU? I
agree. That's incorrect.
You look at BYU's quality wins. There are many. Utah's a ranked team. Texas Tech is the obvious blight. I completely agree. But if we're truth telling, and we are, we're trying to really put a playoff field together. My biggest thing for BYU is I think it's difficult when we look at resumes to keep them out. They have the number 6 strength of record. They have the 35th strength of schedule, which is better than Ohio State and Indiana, significantly better than Ole Miss, significantly better than Texas Tech. Texas Tech is 59th. Ole Miss is 40th. Ohio State's 46th. Indiana's 45th.
Who do you believe BYU can compete with in the CFP here? Like, because this is you always go to resume. That's not what I'm talking about. Nobody cares about their resume. They've made that very clear. Would you agree with that? That nobody cares about BYU's resume. Nobody cares.
Pays attention to it.
Right. So I agree that BYU's resume says they should be in, but that's clearly not the conversation for BYU. That's not the measuring stick or the needle mover. Right. The conversation is, does BYU pass the eye test for people to put them in if they don't win the Big 12 championship game? Like, if you said, hey,
I think
any team you want to pick, but any team you want to pick. So like if BYU versus Alabama, BYU versus Oklahoma. Any of these teams that are in the between 5 and 10, let's say, or 6 and 10. I can't pick BYU to beat Alabama. I can't pick them to beat. I think they'd be in the Oklahoma game because I think Oklahoma has shown inconsistency with how physical they want to be. But are we really sitting here saying that Bear Bachmeier's got a chance to do things against Oklahoma's defense?
No, I think that's the biggest question. That doesn't mean he shouldn't be in the college football playoff.
Well,
I think that you're correct when you look at the elite defenses, the Ohio States, the Indianas. A&M doesn't have an elite defense. Oregon doesn't have an elite defense. Georgia's defense is very good, and Alabama's defense is very good. I think Oklahoma, Texas Tech, those teams are very good. So it becomes BYU's defense versus your offense. And I think their defense can stay with Indiana, Texas A&M, Oregon, Georgia, Ole Miss, and I think Oklahoma. I think BYU belongs in, and maybe
I guess we view them differently. I don't think that BYU offensively can stay in almost any of those games, like because of the limitations with Bear Bachmeier. I think that their defense can hold basically any team to anywhere between 20 to 27 points. They can keep you in the game because they're that good. But I guess, no, I don't have faith that Bear Bachmeier and that offense, one, are prepared to play in a big environment. They haven't proven that yet. Against Tech, they look very shaky. I don't buy for a second that against an SEC powerhouse, they would be, it would just be all things smooth sailing. I think there'd be some issues there. But then secondly, I think that the concept of, hey, well, physicality with BYU has been a thing. Their defense is super physical, but the offense, is at times not very physical. So I don't know. I just think I get it. Their resume says they should be in, but that's not the whole conversation. It never has been. And that is obviously the crux of the problem with the CFP selection committee. Yep. And the bigger problem here too,
it's how Big 12 it's how Jabba the Manual screwed Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
Until Ohio State won the most difficult national championship in the history of college football.
Which then this year, and that's a great point. So then this year, and this is also something BYU faces, as well as Tech to some level, nobody questions Ryan Day in Ohio State. Nobody questions Kirby or anybody who's there consistently. It's why Oregon's getting credit, because they're in the conversation pretty much every year right now. BYU is a newcomer to the scene. We don't know what BYU looks like in a first round CFP game. And that's what I think is difficult. And I also think, to your point, because you talk about this all the time, I don't think people want the Big 12 to be a 2-seed league, a 2-bid league. I think they want it to be a 1-bid league.
I think that's clear.
So I don't agree. BYU's getting screwed, but
on the conference level, I agree with that. This league is embarrassingly average. And you have multiple institutions. You've got really 4 institutions, in my opinion: Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, and Arizona State, that are all in to win every single game they play, every rep of every game they play. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. BYU, Utah, Texas Tech, and Arizona State are committed. Nobody else in this league is. Not Baylor, not the Kansas schools, not Iowa State, none of them. Because their actions tell us they're not. Oklahoma State's a blight on the face of this conference. Baylor is an embarrassment. So when we talk about this and you guys all get into me and you say, oh, you just hate and you're this. No, here's where the rubber meets the road. Why Dave Aranda being retained for next year is completely unacceptable, Linda. And why you look at Oklahoma State, they are an absolute fraud. They have no business being a power conference team at Oak State. F you, F off, right? Like I'm asking Jake to play a drop that he's not going to play. But my point is,
fuck you,
right? Get out of here. Get out of here. Like, you're killing this league. You are killing this league. And at least I can say Rich Rod in West Virginia are building. At least I can say Satterfield and Cincinnati are making improvements. Houston and Willie are making improvements. Can I say that about Leitold? Can I say that about Kleinman at K-State when you're just in shambles? And it's, oh, buddy. Oh, we love you, buddy. Can't wait for next year and another shitty season for K-State.
The victory has already been won.
That's what we're doing in this league. That is what we are doing in this league, and it's not good enough.
And then you're surprised when people like BYU are losing the CFP argument.
It's just not good enough, man.
Come on.
It's just not anyway. It's just not good enough to me. And I struggle because people want to say nice things and do nice things. And I don't want nice things. I want championships. I want to pay Kalani Sitake $9 million a year. I want to pay the staff $9 million a year. Right? That's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, what are we getting? We're not getting that in Waco, Fort Worth. We're not getting that in Manhattan. We're just not. And it makes me crazy that we refuse to do what needs to be done. We just refuse. Anyway, I could go on. Anyway, I guess I feel better, right?
No, you don't. Because I'll be honest with you guys, and maybe I'll eat crow for this on Monday, but I'm terrified for BYU. I am absolutely terrified that they are going to get run out of Jarrah World. I'm terrified. I think that Kalani's done a great job, and Bear Bachmeier is a nice little story. He is not a good enough quarterback to lead you against the best defenses in the country. And no, I don't care that he's a freshman. Look at the talent level the other teams have. And again, I know it's Baron Morton. He's been inconsistent. I'd take Baron Morton over Bear Bachmeier. I would, and I think what's difficult is that at some point as a program, you got to go from, hey, we're overcoming the handicaps. He's freshman quarterback. We got injuries on defense. Whatever it is. At some point, you got to go from that to we have all the talent we need. We're getting the best quarterbacks. We're again, like today, we're paying our head coaches so they don't have to hear from Penn State. We're doing all these little intangibles that allow you to get the best kids so that you can put out pictures like Lane Kiffin did. Right? That's the next evolution for BYU football now that you've retained Kalani. And I want him to be good. I trust me, I don't, as someone who does a show where a lot of BYU fans listen, I don't want my opinion to be that I don't think they deserve the spot. But that is my opinion based on the eye test. I can't get myself to be like, yes, BYU is going to be competitive against Tech on Saturday. I can't find a way to do that. I can't find a way to be like, yeah, that 13.5 point line is trash. It is? That's pretty accurate to how the last game went. And they'll play better than they did last time. But is it going to be even a 10-point game? That's what's tough.
James. Arizona did pretty good in their game against ASU. I have to say they've improved.
Neat. Hand out some more blue ribbons.
Arizona's better. ASU is decimated they have a record number of injuries. That game is not indicative of Arizona improving. The donors that clamored to get rid of Gundy need to pony up the money and make Oak State's NIL fund better.
Why do you care? You're a TCU fan.
You're a TCU fan. Why do you care?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Kalani, win the next 4 games and we are in the national championship. So as BYU fans, we're in playoffs already. Let's go. There you go.
Well, I agree with that. Now, see, that's very fair. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Jake is on this from the jump. The recent inflow of BYU money, that's great. It's just a season too late. They needed it. They needed this in 2021 before the run, not at the end of the run. And they haven't even BYU. And I know, Monty, you're a homer. BYU hasn't started their run yet.
Yeah.
They're just now at the requisite level of talent. Now we need what is BYU quarterback you? Is BYU linebacker you? Yeah, to all of it. Now we need 4 levels of linebackers, 3 levels of quarterbacks, 3 levels of running backs. Continue to put wide receivers in the NFL. Puka Nakua, right? Like, continue to do that. This is the Oak State James comment. Like, Oklahoma State's going to suck forever and into eternity because they never do what needs to be done.
Because it's garbage.
BYU has consistently done and will continue to do what needs to be done. They're so far ahead of the curve in the Big 12, but why is that? And I love what BYU's done, and I think they've won every game outside of Texas Tech. But why is Texas Tech the best team in the Big 12? Why is BYU the second best team in the Big 12? Why is Utah the third best team? Why is Arizona State the fourth best team? They're spending money, and they are hiring coaches that are difference makers. They're all well-funded with big-time coaches and big-time staffs doing what has to be done. And when it doesn't go well, they don't pat Ollie Gordon on the back and tell him it's okay that you got a DUI, buddy. They don't do that. They don't let Mike Gundy take a pay cut so that we can afford NIL. Who are you, Iowa State? They don't do that. They pay money, and they put today $15 million more into NIL at BYU. That's why they're winning.
And by the way, I think you should throw Baylor into that pay cut thing because that's exactly what they said in their statement. We're not firing him because it would be better to keep him on staff so we can invest the money we do have. So, in other words, you're a cheap ass.
Yeah, I just don't buy it.
I despise it. I absolutely despise it. And what bothers me is, like, if you look at the CFP graphic or the AP or whatever you want to look at, the Big 12 clearly has brands big enough to compete in these graphics and in these rankings. They, like, if 70% of the Big 12 was invested the way the SEC is, bro, you would have 4 or 5 teams competing for 2 spots every single year. Like, you would. You absolutely would. But Brett Yormark, for whatever reason, he's doing a phenomenal job, but these ADs and these head coaches just can't get their stuff together. And I know that we get criticized for being negative about the Big 12, but today is the perfect example of what we're talking about, man. It is the perfect example. Like even with BYU, bro, BYU fan, if you don't get into the CFP because you lost the championship game, don't play the victim card, right? Don't do that. Instead, what you should say is, hey, you know what? We had a hell of a season. Nobody ever thought we'd even got here, and we need to improve. We need to double and triple down on this and improve.
Look who's at Kalani Sitake's press conference. Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz and BYU basketball. I mean, donor for owner. Crumble CEO, former BYU NFL quarterback Gifford Nielsen, who's an elder, I would point out. Like, you're starting to see how our reporting was spot on.
Telling you, the donor movement was real.
The donors got involved, as we reported yesterday, and it made a difference. It absolutely made a difference. And what are they talking about? Kalani Sitake wasn't talking about his pay. He was quoting Brian Santiago. Kalani, there weren't many times that he was talking about himself or his own compensation. He was talking about his staff and wanting to take care of those around him. You're welcome. That's huge. And you'll just see, you continue to, we nailed it. And I think it is, and listen, I totally get it. I think if you're a BYU fan, today is a great day to be a BYU fan. Today is a great day to be a BYU fan.
100%.
And I think this has to be the beginning. This cannot be the end. Because I think when you look at the way that this is all playing out, I think it's exactly what you had hoped would happen today. And that's huge. That is huge.
Kalani saying, quote, if I'm being honest, I just wanted to be here a long time. At Penn State fan, any questions? Any thoughts? I mean, I know Penn State's such a great job. I know that he was just slobbering over the Penn State job. Come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Kalani never wanted to.
Bruh.
He didn't want that job, in my opinion. I think he used that job as he needed to use that job.
Yeah.
And I think this has paid off significantly well for him. You know, like, he's not somebody that He's not somebody that ever took this job for granted. I can tell you that right now.
And he deserves credit for that.
He does. And I think it's huge that this continues to be the theme. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think BYU absolutely did the right thing today, and the rest of the Big 12 needs to take notice. The rest of the Big 12 needs to take notice. This is a massive investment. This is a massive investment for BYU. And it is without question. This is unprecedented, in my opinion. This is unprecedented at BYU and in the Big 12. I don't think we've ever seen this kind of cash influx into humans. We've seen it in NIL and portal money at Texas Tech. When have you seen this kind of significant investment over and above what you've ever spent on a coaching staff before in football in this league? Because I don't think we've seen it.
Yeah, I think that, BYU circumstances dictated it. The requirements to be the head coach at BYU made it such that Kalani was much more valuable than you were paying him. And the job he's done and where he's got the program, Brian Santiago saying they're not just investing in the program, they're investing in Kalani Sitake. I mean, that's what you should be saying. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear about Kalani doing this or that. Now, we're investing in Kalani. We're investing in this football program. And if anybody denies Ryan Smith trying to buy his way to wins at the college level, you're up in the night. I think that Ryan Smith has prioritized winning in college athletics more than he will ever prioritize winning at the pro level, which bothers me, but also I'm not surprised.
Lark, who is a regular listener of this show, it's funny on days like this, the haters come out. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you did what you did or who you paid, but you got this story right. I appreciate the reporting for once. You're welcome.
Now we pay people.
Now we're paying people.
Yeah. So wait, I thought Gloria Navarez was in our pocket, but apparently we're in people's pockets.
No, it's that we were buying subs on YouTube.
Right.
Remember that we were buying, which I don't know that if people understand, that's not a thing. You can't buy subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. You know what, man? I'm happy for BYU fan. Dilly. Should we do the man purse or should we just leave it at that?
Let's leave it at that. I think that the digestion of there's a lot that's happened in the last hour. This is one of those days in college football where, the CFP rankings taking place really kind of puts the Kalani situation on full blast. I can't help but feel that unless Texas Tech makes a lot of mistakes on Monday, we're going to be talking about a hell of a season for BYU. And, who are they going to go and get in the portal to play quarterback? Because if you stick with Bear Bachmeier, I have some criticism, dude.
Stop it. You're crazy. That's it.
He's never going to be good enough
on this show. He's going to be the best quarterback in the history of BYU football.
I'll believe it when I see it.
There's no reason to think he wouldn't be. He is already exponentially a better thrower of the football than he was in week one.
Mm-hmm.
What he's got to learn, he's got to continue to improve his mechanics. But he's got to learn how to read defenses, which he should have. He should not be on the field right now. This is what he should have been learning this year. He's had to learn on the fly. And as I always say, you watch the tape on Bear Bachmeier, it jumps off to you. He's reading his wide receiver. Is he open or is he not? Oh, he's open. I'm going to throw it. And what does that lead to? Tip balls, deflections, and turnovers. Bear Bachmeier has all of the talent that you need. He's a little too Jackson Dart in that he runs into really bad collisions that he should not be running into. He should not be running into the kind of collisions where he's jumping up in the air against Utah and getting his lower leg hit as soon as he lands. That's stupidity. And that's what you can coach out of him and grow out of him. He needs to become mechanically sound. I guarantee you he will go to the house of Beck and he will get right. John Beck will tune that dude up. This is quarterback you for a reason. I'm not worried about Bear Bachmeier. You need better offensive linemen, depth at skill positions, depth at linebacker, continue to become the best secondary in the Big 12. Week in and week out. This secondary has been unbelievable. Bear Bachmeier is going to be, I think he's going to be the least of your problems. I think Bear Bachmeier will not be an issue for this team. Because I have not seen growth like this from a quarterback in a long time because he's just got raw talent. Raw talent. Famlor, Bear's going to be better than Steve Young. It's a completely different generation and era. He's already on that dynamic curve, and Steve Young's not the best quarterback in the history of BYU. Will he be better than Ty Detmer? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. Will he be? I have no doubt we will be arguing about him. We will be arguing about him being one of the legends of BYU football when it's done. Wearing the number 47, his name's Bear. Like,
I sure hope so, man. I hope that's how it turns out. I really do. I really do. I hope that I'm tired of BYU having to deal with questions at that position, because I feel like, again, it's not Jake's fault. It's just what happened, whatever, like that whole thing. And I feel like since the Zach Wilson season, we had Jaron Hall and he was solid, but the team wasn't quite good enough. Like, BYU just gotta put it together now. You gotta have all three phases. You gotta be ready to go. And I'm sure that they'll get there. I'm sure they'll get there. But I guess my concern is just the mechanic thing, right? So like the stiff front leg, I know you can teach that out of somebody. I get it.
He is a straight leg thrower.
But I'm just curious, does that, because I know you would agree, because we've talked about this, but like we've seen guys, not BYU related, but just quarterbacks where it's like, hey, like Avery Johnson as an example, right? We talked all about how, hey, this cat should be able to read a defense this year. But that didn't quite happen. Now, that's K-State. That's not BYU, and BYU is better at developing quarterbacks, so I get it. But BYU has crucial developmental projects that need to happen if they're going to take that next step. Because I would agree with everybody who says if they had a quarterback, call it Jake Retzloff, or if Bear Bachmeier was playing at that level, they would be able to beat Texas Tech. Because you just got to be able to spot it. You got to be able to throw it through the defense and know where your guy is. You got to be able to play at that level. And they'd be right with Texas Tech.
I agree.
But they don't. So that's my thing.
But you have the Retzloff situation. Listen, I think the difference is Avery Johnson's never been the sharpest tool in the shed. Mm-hmm. I've been talking about this for how long?
Yeah, long time.
You look at that guy, you know he doesn't have the goods to be a big-time quarterback. It's J.J. McCarthy. They're not going to throw because he cannot throw. Bear Bachmeier has the arm talent and the mind talent and the understanding. And I think one of the things we don't talk about is it requires DNA. It requires a certain innate ability. Bear's got that. Avery never had it. Because you also have to have your motor away. You have to want to. And Jake Retzloff did this. Zach Wilson did this. Like, all the greats did it. All the best quarterbacks have done it. You go to Southern California and you spend a month at the Tom House Academy, and they teach you how to throw a football with better mechanics. And look at the jump Jake Retzloff took. Look at the Zach Wilson. Look at the, right? Like, that's what we need to see, right? Like, it is really tough to play football in this league if you are a run-first quarterback or a stand-in-the-pocket quarterback. It's Baron Morton's biggest problem. He knows he's not mobile, and he is constantly getting hit and thrown interceptions. You just can't do it. You can't do it. And it's why USC is so good right now, because Lincoln Riley has another quarterback, but they don't have the defense. Can you imagine Jaden Mayava and BYU's defense? Come on. Yeah. Right? Like, that's what's special about BYU, Utah. Utah's got to